Welcome to Oops, I'm Evolving. I'm Morgan, and this is the podcast where we take those big, mind-blowing spiritual concepts and break them down into the real life shit you can actually use. Because let's be honest, real growth doesn't happen in the highlight reel. It happens in the shadows, in the messy, uncomfortable WTF moments. So let's talk about it, air it all out, and level up. Today we are talking about clarity, and clarity is kind of a tricky subject, and the lack of clarity is a lot of times what keeps people stuck. It's this glorification that we've put on clarity, and it is not because you don't know what to do next. It's because your body doesn't feel safe doing it. So let's talk about it. Let's be honest, you don't actually want clarity. You want a guarantee. You want the next step to feel 100% safe. You want a decision that doesn't bring risk or regret. You want to know if that leap that you're going to take, you want to make sure you're not going to fall. And that if you choose, you're not going to lose. But that's not clarity. That, my friends, is control. And when you're stuck in that loop, looping over the same question, reading all the signs, getting your cards read, hashing it out with a friend, hashing it out with another friend, you are obsessing over every single possibility. But what you're really doing is you're outsourcing your power. Today's episode is about what really is going on when you say, I just need more clarity, and why that may be the very thing that is keeping you stuck, keeping you burnt out, or keeping you out of alignment. We're going to talk about nervous system, safety, human design, and how to stop circling the damn decision and just make a move. So most people don't struggle with clarity. They struggle with trust. So you're spinning out over the same question. Should I stay in this job? Should I quit? Should I say something? Should I stay quiet? Should I launch this offer? Should I wait? Should I stay in this relationship? Should I leave? But it's not really the question that's the issue. It's the fear that's underneath it. You're afraid of getting it wrong, looking stupid, wasting time or money, hurting someone, regretting your choice. So your brain stalls and it spins. It rewrites the pros, the cons, and it calls it waiting for clarity. You're waiting to know that the decision that you're going to make is 100% certain. But really, truly, what's actually happening is that you're trying to feel safe. Because somewhere along the line, you decided that making the wrong choice equaled being unsafe. Being wrong, making a mistake, doing the quote-unquote wrong thing is unsafe. So you can think about that one friend that wants to do that thing that they're so excited and so lit up by it, and you know if they just did it, they would be massively successful. But they're waiting on their clarity. They're waiting on this. They're waiting on that. The pieces haven't quite come together yet, whatever it may be. What happens is they actually just feel really unclear. They feel really murky. And what's causing that murkiness is being afraid. And when you're fearful, when you're afraid, it just causes you to spin out, and you spin all of these stories, and you really just get lost in that lack of certainty, and you start outsourcing everything. You start asking so-and-so what you should be doing. You should start getting your cards read. You maybe start going and getting Reiki. You maybe start, like ChatGPTing it, everything, and you're just looking for something to give you the answer. But the problem with healing, the problem with doing this inner work is you find out really quickly that the answer is never, ever, 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 ever outside of yourself. Unfortunately, right? Wouldn't that be just so much easier if we could just have every tarot reader on TikTok tell us what we should do with our life? Sorry. That is not the way it is meant to go. And getting out of this fear and getting out of this wanting more certainty is truly all about trusting your body. It's all about understanding that your body has the next move. It has the decision waiting for you, but your brain is the one that is attaching stories and fear to every single possible decision that you make. This is one of the reasons that I love human design so much, because it shows you that your body already knows. The problem is that most of us are conditioned to ignore our inner knowing and instead obsess in the mind. I want to say this, and I've said it before, but I'm going to say it again. Your mind isn't built for decision making. It's built for survival. And survival is loud, but it doesn't sound like clarity. It sounds like, what will people think? What if I mess up? How will I recover if this goes wrong? That's not clarity, my friends. That is your brain spinning stories about whatever is happening. That is that fear that is running rampant, telling you that your body isn't telling you the truth. And your brain is just trying to keep you safe. So, keeping human design in mind, let's walk through what clarity feels like for each of your authority. Now, if you don't know, maybe you should go back and listen to the human design episode. Your authority is your end all be all decision maker. Your authority is the thing that you are meant to listen to above all else. So those of you with emotional authority, you are never meant to feel 100% sure in the moment. Clarity for you comes with time and emotional neutrality. So if you're waiting for that lightning bolt of truth, you're going to miss it every single time. It just doesn't happen. Sacral authority, your gut has already answered. It was immediate in the moment, but your brain likely jumped in right after it answered and tried to talk you out of it. Splenic authority, your clarity is subtle, it's fast, and it's in the moment. It is right now. You don't get certainty, you get instinct. You get that quiet whisper that comes in and leaves just as fast. Ego authority, your clarity is in your desire. It's not what's logical, it's what you want. Let that be enough. Self-projected authority, talk it out. Your truth comes out when you hear yourself speak, not before. You need to speak, and then you will hear your truth in your own words. Mental or environmental authority. You need to be in the right spaces around the right people to feel your knowing. And my reflectors out there, you aren't supposed to have clarity immediately. You are meant to wait and see what's consistent for you over time. You are made to work with the moon. And so you reflectors have it a little, I don't know, I wouldn't say a little more tricky, but a little more slow than everyone else's decision makers. Now, if you don't know your authority, just look it up on your human design chart and check. It will change your entire life, because when you honor your authority, clarity becomes something that you experience, not something that you force. So when we're always chasing clarity, it's what it ends up doing is it ends up keeping you completely disconnected from your body, because once again, you are using your brain to search for clarity when really our clarity is meant to be happening through our actions. So the longer that you stay in the I need clarity phase, the more disempowered you're going to feel, because you're feeding that belief that your truth lives somewhere outside of you, that if you look in the right place, you will find clarity. If you ask the right person, you will find clarity. That coach that will say something that like automatically makes something click, that perfect sign from the universe. Maybe you've gotten a billion signs, but you want a signier sign. The one more journal session that will uncover the right answer. But clarity doesn't come from more thinking. It comes from embodiment. It comes from literally acting. And I know that you've heard this before, and I know I'm so sorry to say it again, but clarity is born through action. It's a practice. It's about learning how your yeses feel, and it's about trusting your body enough to take the next move, even when you don't have the final picture. It's about trusting the universe to take the next step, even when you don't have the final picture. So instead of letting that fear spin you out, what you can do instead is you can get a lot more curious about yourself. You can ask yourself, if I knew the answer and it felt risky, would I still do it? Am I afraid of being wrong or afraid of being seen wrong? Because you can't bypass fear. You actually have to put a name on it. And when you put a name on it, you can take your power back. It's like that sneaky little invisible force that's keeping you stuck. It's keeping that brain spiraling. I have mentioned this book so many times, but when we're talking about the power that your brain has, I think that this book just does an amazing depiction of like what this energy can look and feel like. So I read this book, Outwitting the Devil. It has completely changed the way I see and understand my brain when we're talking. So I don't know how to describe it, but in this book, he interviews the devil. It doesn't really go into like how he interviewed the devil or how the devil could not lie to him. But the devil made it very clear that he was giving away his biggest secrets. And this is also true in the devil card in tarot. But the way that that energy affects you is with your thoughts. And that's the way the devil or negative energies or whatever you want to call it. I'm not talking about necessarily fire and brimstone devil, but whatever you believe, that's the way these energies take control of you, is through your brain, is through your fear. So when you have this fear that is invisible and it's running on autopilot, you may not even recognize that what's driving you is fear. Once you can shine a light on it, then it's like, okay, I see you, I know what's happening now, and now I can make different decisions. Now, when you're playing around with following your human design authority, I strongly suggest playing around with decisions that are inconsequential. Do some reflections and think about times that you have followed your authority on accident and it's really worked out well for you. And then when you start following it for decisions that maybe don't necessarily matter as much, and then you can start learning that trust within yourself, because that's the thing that you're really missing, is you're missing that trust that you will hold yourself even if something falls, that you can handle taking care of yourself, and that if you fail, it's not going to be the end of the world for you. So when you can start trusting your body, you can get out of that limbo state of waiting, of not knowing which direction, and you can start making moves even when you're not 100% sure. And that is all about rebuilding the trust within yourself. So I just want to name this and make you feel seen if this is you. If you are a person that is an I need clarity person, i.e., you guys, I fall into this trap all the time. This is your nervous system that's craving control. We all know I'm a control freak, so I'm not calling you out. I'm not looking at you and saying you're wrong. Girl, me too. Boy, me too. We are the people that crave control. And the reason that is just because control makes us feel safe. So when we are not having control, when we have to free fall, when we have to trust, that makes us feel really unsafe. So clarity becomes a way to avoid the discomfort, avoid rejection, avoid regret, avoid being wrong. So if you were raised in an unstable, unpredictable, hypercritical environment, overthinking for you equals survival. So if you are somebody that overthinks every single thing and you're just looking for clarity, it is a survival mechanism. It's not just indecision. It's not just you being an overthinker. It is the ultimate protection mechanism. But that is, my friend, what is keeping you stuck. That is what's keeping you stagnant. Your mind is never, ever, ever going to give you the certainty that you're seeking, because it just straight up is not made for that. So it's not about writing out that pros and cons list. It's not about always feeling sure. It's not about what other people think is right. It's truly about getting in touch with your own body and listening to your own discernment and your own authority, your own decision making. This is a muscle that needs to be flexed. If you're a manifesting generator and you're constantly waiting for clarity about switching careers, honey, your sacral knew that months ago. You knew that you dropped enthusiasm, you dropped energy, you knew that this was not your thing anymore. and you're still holding on to it. Why? Maybe because you're scared that you're going to be judged for trying yet again another career. Maybe you are worried that if you leave that job, you're not ever going to find anything better than that. Maybe we all have these stories around what other people may think or what might happen or whatever, but it's just your fear running the show. So when we rethink the word clarity, I want you to now think of clarity. It's not a moment where you're 100% sure. Nope, that is not clarity. The new meaning of clarity for you is now that moment when you say, even if I mess up, I'll be fine. Even if I mess up, I'll have my own back. Even if this was the wrong decision, it's okay. Something better will come. That is that faith in the universe that you need to start having. That's the faith in you that you need to start having, because self-trust is the thing that you are after. And it comes from action and not from thought. The longer you wait for that perfect answer, the more disconnected you become. So what can you do? Every time that you start to think your way into clarity, you get further and further away from your body. So I want you to start asking this instead. If you're a sacral authority, does this feel alive? If you're an emotional, am I clear or am I in a high or a low state right now? If you're in a splenic, did I get a ping and did I ignore it? If you have an ego authority, do I want this? If you're self-projected, what do I hear myself saying all the fucking time, right? And if you're a mental, am I in the right place to even know? Making those small moves are going to be building that muscle, right? When you go to the gym, you want to have a fit body. You can't all of a sudden go for that 300-pound weight. That's not going to work for you. You need to build that muscle. So you don't need to quit your job or move across the country right now, but you can maybe post that idea, put a feeler out, email that person, start building evidence that you can move before you actually feel ready. That is building that muscle. That is flexing that. Maybe you're not ready to announce to the whole world that you're going to quit your job and you're going to start your business, but maybe you can drop that LLC or start dreaming of a name or start designing that website. Whatever you feel called to do, just start making one single move. And then when you make that move, for sacrals, it's like, did that feel alive? Did that give me more energy, right? It should be super, super clear for you. And everybody else, just reflect to those examples I've already gave and did that do the thing that it was meant to do? Did that feel right for you? Because you don't need more clarity. And I just want to throw this out there too. Oftentimes people think that they need more clarity about the decision, about the thing itself. But the deal is you already know your decision. What you're scared of is you're scared of the aftermath. You're scared of the fallout. You're scared of what happens after. And that's the thing that you have created all of these stories around. And that's what's keeping you in this fearful, stuck state. So then it's just really, really diving into all of those stories and debunking them that will help you lean into nervous system regulation, that will also help you. And like I said, flex that muscle when it comes to your human design authority. That is going to be the biggest game changer, because when you trust your authority, when you trust yourself, you will start to let everything else just kind of fall and crumble. You won't have to do so much digging into all of the stories that you've created because you just now trust yourself. And that is huge. That is the shift. That is the thing that we're all working towards. And I'm not saying it's easy. As you go through this human design experiment, because that's what it is, you're meant to try it on and play around with it, you'll find all kinds of times where you don't listen to your body because you ultimately don't trust it. But just like a relationship with another person, when you're consistently acting against someone because there's a lack of trust, what do you think that does? It just breeds more distrust. So we need to start acting in alignment so that we can have that trust in our bodies, so that we can have the trust in the universe, God, whatever you believe in, so that you can really truly live in alignment and have all of the things that you are meant to have, including those good experiences, including those bad experiences, including your manifestations, all of it, because now you are acting in alignment. And when you act in alignment, when you have true trust in your body and in the universe, you'll understand that it's like, well, yeah, maybe you did have this really awful experience, but weirdly enough, it opened the door to something else, right? That's the way it always happens. And we know that logically. It's just when we get wrapped up in those fearful states, in those stories that we spin, when we get stuck looking outside of ourselves for all of this clarity, for all of this, what should I do next? It's just another way that you're giving your power away. And it leaves you feeling stuck. It leaves you wanting to rip your fucking hair out and just looking for someone to just please tell you what the fuck you should be doing, right? And unfortunately, nobody can do that for you. I'm so sorry. I want you to start telling yourself every single day that you can handle whatever comes next. Literally just tell yourself, I can handle whatever comes next. And instead of always looking for the right decision, for the right thing to do, start asking yourself which thing feels most like relief in your body. Or what would you choose if you didn't have to explain it to anyone? If it was a secret, nobody ever knew, nothing happened. Everybody was happy with your decision. It was a secret. Everything was fine. What would you choose? That is your answer. You don't need more vision boards or to pull more cards. You need to build that safety within yourself. You need that regulation and you need trust. Clarity doesn't come when you have everything figured out. That's not what happens. Clarity comes only when you stop letting your fear lead the direction in which you're going. Your clarity is already here. It's been speaking to you through your body your whole entire life. It's been speaking to you through your exhaustion, through your restlessness, through your jealousy, through your longing. You don't need to find your clarity. You just need to feel safe enough to follow through with it. And if you want help doing that, that's what I help my clients with every single day. And through the month of June, I am running a 25% off special on all of my human design readings. So you can just buzz over to unfilteredgrowthcode.com to grab your reading there. If you have that one friend that you just need to shake them so that you can help get them unstuck, send them this episode with lots and lots of love. And maybe this will just help them be able to make the very next step forward in their decision making, because man, we've all been there and we know it fucking sucks, right? Sometimes we just need that little push to help us change the way we see things. All right, that's it for today's episode of Oops, I'm Evolving. Thanks for hanging out and diving into the messy, real shit with me. If you're loving the vibe, make sure to follow the podcast, leave a review, and find me on socials to keep the conversation going. Remember, growth isn't always pretty, but damn, it's worth it. Catch you next time.